Hello everybody, welcome back to our Moneyball series with Barnsley Football Club. Right, end of the season has come upon us and the league table finished like this. I'm getting so good at this, look at that. Smooth transition. There's a full league table for you, and that's how it ended. Right, today, a little bit of a treat for you. I think last season when I did the changeover to my Excel spreadsheet and how I do things now, I don't think I actually showed it, so I'm going to show that to you in this episode and show you how to go through the exact process of doing what I do. But I'm also going to put a link into FM Stag's brand new filters and process to get to sign the best players for you in FM. It's one of the best, most comprehensive ways of doing it. I highly recommend it. The reason I'm not doing it myself right now is that I'd have to download a load of files and I haven't done them yet. And also, I think I have to think about whether I want to use his stuff. I'll have to ask him for one because it's polite to ask, although I'm sure it'd be funny, he sent me stuff before, but I would ask. But also, because I've sort of done it my own way first, I always feel like I should end this series with Barnsley doing it my own way, but we'll see. I'll put the link anyway. For those of you that are interested, what's great about the one that he's done now, as I mentioned him quite a few times in this series, he's actually done like a step-by-step guide of exactly what to do for his stuff, so I think that's really useful. But until then, we'll get the DIY job from me. I'll show you the way that I do it. So, let's show you first of all what we need to do for a player. So, I'm going to show you first. It's pretty simple. So, you're just going to get a few. So, if you download my views here, let's say we're going to look at a striker. Right, let's go for strikers. Striker squad page, we're going to download that right there. Load it up. Okay, so you see this is my striker view, the sort of position. And let's say here we want to look at let's use an actual team here. Let's use Manchester City. So let's say I was going to compare our striker stats this year to Manchester City. I'm going to go, and I want to figure out an average of the top three teams, for example, right? Let's say I want to come up with an average of the top three teams. So what I do here for City is I go Control P, web page there. Let's say I go to United here, same thing again. Got our striker view on, that's nice. Sort of then my position as well to make it nice, easy for us. Control P again. And lastly, going to Liverpool, same thing again. Control P. So we save all that. Now let's go to the next step. Okay, so this is my actual document. This is it from last year. In fact, let's make my camera a bit smaller for you. So you can see it all. Sweet. Okay, so this is my camera view here. Sorry, this is my spreadsheet here. So what I've done is all these numbers here are all formulated, right? Which means, it pre-calculates. So I don't have to do manual calculations anymore. So this is from a previous season, which is what I looked at. So what I looked at is I did just the process before. I did Control P for three teams. When you do Control P, what will happen here is if I just open up a new tab quickly, I've just now gone to a blank sheet. This is a completely blank sheet, which looks a bit different on your screen for some reason. I don't know why, but it looks, the boxes are all different sizes. Is it zoomed in? I don't know. But anyway, so what you do now is we're going to go to our documents folder, which you're not going to see me do this because it's going to be too many windows for me to get, but you just go to FM22, and if you go into your documents, go to Sports Interactive, FM22, and just in that folder there, you'll see all of the things that you saved. So on my screen, I can see Liverpool striker, MCFC striker, and UFC striker, right? Right, so this is what the file will look like when you open it in Excel. Got here, it's got the whole Manchester City squad in the striker view, right? So it's got them all set, preset, and all these things here won't be automatic, obviously. It'll be whatever you've got set in your views. So if you don't have anything there, it will just show, I think the general overview is what it will show if you've got the general overview. So you need to put your own ones in. But whatever you've got set, if you download mine, this is what you'll get, all this, right? So if we're going to do it the same way as before, we don't need any of these. All we need is their top striker, which is obviously Erling Haaland at the top there. So we're just going to go through and delete the whole thing and go right click, which I cannot see, but yeah, we're just going to go and delete entire row all the way up to there. So it just leaves us Erling Haaland like that. Okay, really simple. When you do this for all three players, but I'll show you one player because it's just easier. So now I'm going to copy and paste Erling Haaland like so. Go back to this page. So what I'll do here is also I've got this set for every position. You see at the bottom here, I've got it preset for everyone because there are different stats that are up there per position, and there are different amounts of stats. You can see some have got more than others. So you can't just use one for all unless you're going to use one general one, which is what I think FM Stag does, which is, it can work. You can do it that way. I just chose to do it by per position. It's just easy for me to follow. So what I'm going to do here then is, let's say we get rid of Rian Brewster. We're just going to say, thank you very much, Rian Brewster. We are going to just highlight you. I've not actually replaced one yet, so I'm hoping this works, to be honest with you. And we're just going to paste Erling Haaland in instead. Now, I believe, if I go back, as you can see here, if you look at the numbers here, so what's important is watch all these numbers. So you can see why this formula works and why it's all working. As soon as I add Erling Haaland, all of the amounts here have changed. I mean, the distance total per 90 hasn't worked, but that one hasn't worked, but I know why, because that's there. There you go, and that's worked. Right, so everything else has worked. So that's what we do. I'm going to go through and do this for each player now in the Premier League. So what I thought about, I looked at by the way, this is what I was looking at. I was thinking what teams to do, whether we should get a good top four, because I think we did Europa League last time to scale it up. So I just thought, let's just go with the 3 best teams in the Premier League this year. So we're going to go City, United are the highest scorers, so I'm going to go with them. City, United and Liverpool are the 3 we're going to go with. Liverpool in the league on 85 points, which isn't a lot. So yeah, that's what we're going to do. So I'm going to go through and do this for every single position here. I'm going to go through and this. So yeah, what we're looking at here. So this Moneyball is right here. So it crunches all the numbers, gives us 3 players. It hasn't got the right 3 players yet. Eventually it will. And it will give us all the ones down here is what we're looking at. So what that is all of these here are our totals. That's the total of each amount of all 3 players. Then all of this here is divided by 3. So this is your single number. So after taking everything into account, we want a striker with 24 goals, 1.7 pens. Obviously, don't need to get every single one of these stats. That's just what we've got to show. Like, I don't really care about how many penalty goals they've got. But yeah, that's how it's going to work anyway. So the information gets filtered down, and that is your final number. That's what you're recruiting right there. Moneyball, job done, Infinite Manager. That's what we're going to do, right? Like I said, FM Stack has got a simple one where it does all of this, and it will cover as many stats as it possibly can, and it will give you, all the stats for one view, whereas I've gone and done it per position. I've done it a lot longer of a way, but just the way my brain works, the way I am, sometimes I like things that are a bit longer if it makes more sense, feels better to me, and this feels better to me. So that's just what I'm going to do, but you've got a simpler way if you want to do it. If you want to do it my way, I'll make sure you've got all the right files and everything for you to do if you want to do it the same way that I do. So this is the Barnsley Moneyball way. This is the Barnsley Moneyball way anyway. So let's not waste your time. I'll go away. I'll do all the calculations now for the next hour or so. I don't know how long it'll take. It's just copy and paste job now. It's a lot quicker than when I manually did it. So I'm going to go away and do all of this. We'll come back. We'll look at what the final numbers are. And we'll try and recruit some players for next year and try and get a team that can get us into the top 4. Not saying that we'll do that, because if we aim for the top 4, we won't get those players. We'll get a little bit less and a little bit less for Europa League. That's probably where, if we're going to make a big stride, that's where we're going to end up, right, in that fight. So back in a second, and let's go through it together. And welcome back, everybody. Right, that took a little bit of time. It was okay. It wasn't too bad. Once you've got your formula down, it's really simple to do. I mean, that's why if I put this available, it will save you all the time in the world. If you use just my form, if you use just this stats page, this Excel page, and use just my custom views in FM, this will be pre-done for you. So those of you that want to do this but feel like it's too much effort or too much stuff to work out for you to do, this is all pre-done for you. I've got basically the easy way for you to do it. You can just copy what I do. I've got to be honest, there's a few stats I feel like I miss on a couple of the positions, but at this point, for me to add them, I'd have to take so much stuff away and redo all of this. And to be honest with you, it's just not worth it at this point. I can still search for those things without having to pre-calculate it into these formulas, right? It's just too fiddly for me at this stage. It's I've done well to get this far all on my own, to be honest with you, so happy with that. Right. Strikers then. So what we've got here, we have got Salah, Rashford and Erling Haaland. Those 3 players, and we've calculated all their numbers from the season, everything that we look for in a striker. We crunch all those numbers, and we have got a striker that gets 30 goals a season. If we look at these things, not all of them. 30 goals a season, scores less than 3.7 pens would be great. Goals per 90, the first thing we need to look at, 0.7, that's a crucial one. Shots on target per 90, 4.3. Shots on target percentage 0.52%. So 52% is basically, right? That's what that means. Yeah, that's 52%. Just the way that it's calculated, that's 52%. XG 24, dribbles per 90, 1.77. That's interesting. Aerial challenges, don't really care about that. But header 1%, 56%. That's quite interesting. Considering Mohamed Salah, even he gets 50% of his headers 1. And you can imagine, and he has played a lot of his games up front for Liverpool. I double checked that. So you can see there, yeah, like that's, it does say he plays winger there, but I checked he played an awful lot of his games up front this year for Liverpool because they've only really got Firmino as a striker on the game in this season, and he didn't play often at all. It was normally Salah. Yeah, and as you can see through here, chance created per 90, 0.57, not too bothered about that. And some generic ones over here. So pretty good overall, I would say. Like stats, that's going to be quite hard for us to replicate there. Wingers. So for the wingers, we've got Diaz, Sancho, Mane. Now, Sancho I kept over from last year, and there is a reason for that, which I'll explain. But basically, it's I think, is it United or City? One of those two teams played a back three for a bit of the season, which threw the stats up a little bit. So I decided to keep Sancho stats in because they were about in line with what the other ones were anyway. So yeah, anyway, so Sancho stays in, but we then have Mane who played on the wing most of the season, and so did Diaz. And that's why we got two Liverpool players. So the winger is the only position that I felt like I had to sort of keep two Liverpool players in, and that was because of the fact that everyone else played a back three, and they basically played either the back three with two like cams and a striker, or they played 3-5-2. So I think it's 2.29 dribbles per game, cross completion of 0.2, well 28% is basically what that is. Chances created per 90 is 0.63. Assists per 90 0.31. Assists 10, I don't really care about that. XG of 10. Accuracy 47%. Yeah, like I think we could probably find somebody in that. I think there's players out there that we could get that fit into that. And then I'm actually quite excited about that. Central midfielder, we've got Bruno Fernandes, Bernardo Silva, Dominic. I'm not going to try and pronounce that. So key passes per 90 is always annoying to look at in FM. And so like, you can see Bruno Fernandes is drastically higher than Bernardo Silva and Dominic here. Why? Takes corners. That's it. Key passes per 90. If you take set pieces, that's going to go up, which is disappointing. That's the way things are. Yeah, so that's why he's inflated a bit, but it sort of brings up the number a bit for key passes per 90. So we'll look for that, but we can drop quite drastically. No, it's not a huge deal, especially if they don't take set pieces. Dribbles per 90, quite high for one of them, but the other two sort of even it out, so 0.62. And again, if they play in a midfield 3 or 2, makes a big difference. I think all three of these played in a 2. Maybe the Liverpool one didn't. Dominic. Actually, Dominic wouldn't have done. But the other two did. They played in the midfield 2, which is interesting. That's why their dribbles per 90 is quite low, despite the fact it's Bernardo Silva. So that's the thing to be paying attention to. We play in the midfield 2 as well, so that's fine for us. Chances created per 90, 0.61. That'll be fun to get. Pass completion, 86%, all three of them. That's quite interesting stat to see. And some others there, but that generally should be. I think we can get something close to that. CDM, Frankie de Jong, Fabian, and Nicola Rovella. Interceptions per 90 is 1.39. Tackle 1 ratio 0.76, so 76%. Key tackles, don't really care about that. Chances created per 90 is 0.32. So they'd be somewhat creative, like, passes per 90 1.25. And that's non-set piece takers normally, so that's definitely interesting. And then headers 1 ratio, 64%. I wish that would calculate a percentage there at the end, but I know what it says. It's easy to see what it says, but I just wish it did say the percentage, make it slightly easier to see. And dribbles per 90, 0.61, which is inflated by Fabian. Bring that back. Right. Again, okay, we go then. So dribbles per 90, drastically different depending on which team they were playing in. But dribbles per 90 then, drastically different depending on what team they played in. So, is it Estupinan here? He played wing back for a bit of the season, like left wing back in the back 3, and his dribbles per 90 is still that low. And he played, what did he play? 30 starts, so quite a lot. It's quite low. So that actually is nice to have 3 like extremes. That's quite high for wing back. That's really low, and that's about in the middle. So nice to even out there. 2.21 dribbles per 90. Cross completion 22%. Aerial headers 1. Percentage is at 78%. That's actually quite high. So good luck with that, Jack. Tackle 1 ratio 84%. That's extremely high. So that's going to be hard to recruit that. I think that's going to be the hardest one for us to get, is somebody that good at wing back. But if you can get somebody good dribbles per 90 who creates, at least 0.5 chances per 90, cross completion above 20%, header 1 ratio of 75% plus, and a tackle 1 ratio of 80% plus, that's generally going to be a really good wing back in FM. And if they've got all those stats, there's a good chance they're quick. Because I think they'd struggle with their tackle 1 ratio if they weren't quick. So, like those 3 players, I'm pretty sure we know who they are. I think they've all got, though, 15s-ish, depending on how much they progress. So they're not that quick. So I think we've got a chance to beat that. Lastly, centre back, Rafa Varane, Then we've got Ruben Diaz and Virgil van Dijk. 3 great players, great centre-backs. So hard to replicate this probably. But headers won ratio, we're going to go straight to that. That's 85%. That's quite high. Interceptions per 93.5. Tackle won ratio, 0.77, 77%. That's quite low. Okay, that's fine. I assume that means that they step out of defence a bit and they get caught and they end up missing their tackles. But key tackles 10 for the season. Pass completion 97%. That's going to be tough for us to get. This is something that I noticed in my Twitch stream over with Boston. One thing to look at is clearances. And unfortunately, clearances is not a per game or per 90 category or stat. It's a total. So you need to find somebody who's played a lot of games, but you want players that are like below 375, I think, generally. And all 3 of those are quite low on that. And like it's quite close. So like somebody who's got 350 it's quite big in FM terms, from 375 to 350. Anybody above 400 is probably going to kick it away too much for us. So that's good. That's really good for us. So there you are. I just thought I'd run it through with you. I thought I'd just run through with you the stats that we're looking for. So now you know the final numbers we're looking at. And yeah, and now I'm going to move this off to the side. We'll get back into FM and let's get some players in. Okay, they're the most exciting part of the Moneyball series. Here we go. I love these episodes. They take a long time to actually record, but they're just so much fun because I now just get to sit here, look at the stats, and we get to recruit into the stats that we need. How much money would we be given again? 28 million. Okay, not a lot of wages, but that's okay. So first things first for us, who are we going to let go? Now, Rocco Simic. Now, never forget, we did our last ever player attribute reveal. So, we're not going to go from this point forwards who is going to be good and who is not. So, that's going to make things more difficult going forward. But that's great. That's good for the series and good for you watching at home. I know that's what you wanted. And I'm going to bring it to you. So, there we go. First one is Manea. Don't like you. Get out. Thank you very much. First thing we're going to look at. I think, noticeably, if we look at the wing backs, I reckon that's going to be where we're quite far off. Like Manea, Aina, I mean, they did rotate a little bit, those two, so they're not going to have like starting level stats across the board. And Christensen there. If I whack up my wing back stats here. So, and this is the exact like for like view, so it should be exactly the same. So dribbles per 90, we're looking for a player with 2.21. So is there anybody? So you'd say Theo is actually quite high on that, but Theo was a backup player and played a lot of games against teams that were not very good. He came on as a sub late on, so that's why his stats went like 3 starts. That doesn't really count. In fact, let's take him out because only 3 starts is nowhere near good enough and enough to recreate real stats. So 2.21. Is there anybody there? Nope, nobody beats that. Cross completion 22%. Got a few players above that. Chances created per 90, 0.61. Look at that. Nobody's even close. And Aina's the best. That's poor. And assists per 90, 0.24. Wow. Oh, Olaina. Okay, so Olaina's the closest on those two. So looking at this so far, Olaina's our best wing back so far, both sides. The 1%, just go straight to that. We need somebody who's 78%, so they're doing okay on that aspect. Tackle completion, we need 84%, and they're all up there actually. So they've done well. So looking at that, statistically there, the one area we need players to improve are players that can dribble with the ball and create chances and get assists, right? But normally these two. So we need to hammer down on dribbles per 90, chance created per 90, right? So let's have a look at that first. I love Moneyball. Isn't this great? Isn't this so great for manager that we can do this? This is so good. Right, let's look at this then. Let's get all this down. So we're just going to let's just look at then those 2 stats to begin with. Nothing else. So we want dribbles per 90. So your stats chalkboard, dribbles per 90, and we want 2.21, so it's 2 minimum. Okay. Stats chalkboard, we also want chances created per 90. 0.6. Oh, we can't fucking do it. That's annoying. I'm going to assume these lads here don't play wing back. He does, but not in a very good level. He does, but not a good level. And he does, but he's 30 years old. And yeah, no. Get that list down. There we go. Right, we've got a list down. Sweet. Okay, so Brandon Soppi from Udinese, who I've not seen before, if I'm honest with you. Like, I must have... I'm behind on that, but he looks like he's got a bad average match rating, but let's have a look here. 30 starts in the Serie A. Chances created per 90 is, like we said, that's an important stat this year, right? So that just cannot happen. In fact, I'm going to put that up first. The drama's dropped, but he's in the Championship. I don't really want to look at that. Jan Valery, you in the Premier League, mate, or you dropped down the divisions? Oh, League One, absolutely no chance. James Clark, Carlisle United. Right, there's a problem here. Leora, What's concerning is average match rating is 6.59. It could be because of his team. Like, I know how good he is, but we're looking purely at the stats, right? Tackle ratio is 85, which is just above what we need. Tackle one ratio, we need 2 points. Well, no, sorry, what do we want here? That's tackles per game, though, right? No, tackle ratio 85. Headers one is 78. He's on 70. He's a bit lower on that. Dribbles per 90, 2.21. He's above that. Chances created per 90, 0.61. So he created a lot of chances for a team that I'm guessing went down. Did Fulham? It nearly did. So that's pretty good. He's overachieved there in what is a bad team by the looks of it. So let's try and get him for some cheap stuff. I'm going to try and avoid doing now 50% of the next sales for some players here if we can. And that'll please some of you. Some of you hate that. Right, another player here. Jan Macon. Played for Saint Etienne in the French league, so that's good. We compare him just to Laura above him. He's got way more dribbles per 90, slightly less chances created per minute, chances created per 90. Header one ratio is the same. Tackle one ratio is slightly low, but it's still good. That's quite decent as well. So that's actually something else we'd look at there. Although Ola Aina is okay, if I'm honest. Those two are good. I'm happy with that. Let's go left back then. Our own players appeared, which I suppose is a good thing in theory. Martino, right. Non-league Italy, nope. And that is it. So left back's a problem. So what do we drop? Let's drop tackle completion of 75. And what else can we drop? Headers 1 to 68. Gives us Matthew Sornola. Right-footed though. I don't want to drop dribbles per 90 and chances created really though. Wow, we haven't got that in anyway in our search. So I don't know what I would drop here. I mean, would I take... we could take wing back on like high ones. So like 1.9 dribbles per 90. So let's drop... That's going to give us loads of players now. But if they're going to be that, let's get that up a bit again. Okay, so Tariq Mitchell has appeared now. Although I don't really care about whether we know them in real life or not, I'm gonna shortlist him, but I'm not gonna sign him unless he's the last option. Like I don't mind if I do know them in real life, like per se at the start. But if we can find somebody else, I'd like to get somebody else if it's possible. Okay, Emmanuel Valerie. Appearance is 35. His penalty is shocking, but cross completion is high. Dribbles per 90 is low, but it's we're looking for 2.21 really. So. Chance created per 90 is high though, so it's like Aina's level. So I think he probably would be pushing Christensen for a place if we signed him. That's what I think. So I'm going to shortlist him as an option. A player called Agustin Sanders. Now Fulham signed him for like 5.5 million, and tackle ratio is good, header one ratio is good, chances created per 90 is good for a terrible team, and good dribbles per 90 for a terrible team. So I'm going to shortlist him as well. Okay, that's what we've got for fullbacks. Although, I don't know. Christensen's okay. I like the team to get a bit better next year, but I mean, they're okay. The wingbacks are okay. I'm not too bothered about that as much. We need a big improvement to get to where we want to get to, but it's not the most pressing concern for this team specifically, I don't think, if you see what I mean. So let's have a look at strikers now and work backwards from there. Goals per 90, 0.80. Is that what it was? Yeah, goals per 90, 0.80. I don't care about that as much. Shots on target ratio, 52%. XG, 24. Fuck me, that's going to be a lot. Dribbles per 90, 1.77. Stays at 1. Don't worry about that. But header 1 ratio, worry about that. 56%. Slides can go, clear chances rate can go. Right, we've just dropped it down to goals per 90 down to 0.60. So let's have a look at these here. Now, John Caracabaro, now he's got, I think, quite a random current ability. As in, he could be one of the top young players in the world. That's rare. Or he could be like a really bad player they'll just release after a couple of years. And it can be anything in between. It looks like he's a good version of him. So I have no idea how good he is. And he's left-footed, which I hate the fact. Also, he could be left or right-footed. You just don't know. Normally, he's right-footed. So I hate that. Pay that much for him. I'm going to shortlist him. It's unlikely we'll get him. He's way too much money. And I don't like the fact he's left-footed. That is it. So bloody hell. What else do you drop? I mean, let's headers one ratio, dribbles per 90, could drop that because it could get somebody in the high 0 point somethings. There's a real lack of strikers, if I'm honest with you. Like, it was 3 strikers from last year, plus me Elias getting more of a chance, or hoping Ryste gets his work permit. That seems like that's the best chance. I'm going to have to come back to that, or at least manually scout, because, like, I mean, what were their strikers like? Might have to go look at some of the other leagues and stuff, and manually look at some clubs, because, like, that was just hard to watch, that scouting page. I suppose the Portuguese Premier League might be a good shout, because that's where we got some decent players from. I mean, they're going to be in the Champions League. They're not going to want to come to us, I don't think, yet. So that's probably going to be slightly more difficult. Ivan Nilsson, either-footed. Looks like he's doing all right for Porto. Okay, so then what we do is, some of these are obviously lacking because in one area from what we're looking for. So let's just have a look here and see. Let's just see what we've got. So forget the goals for a second. So let's take goals per 90 out the equation, because they may not have scored because they played bit part role in a pretty bad team. So let's have a look. This is a good example. This is a normal save. Fine Hee Chan. I think it's actually quite a good player in FM. On here, his goals per 90 is bad. We were saying we can look at that. His shots on target percentage is bad here. Just per 90 is pretty good, but his heading percentage is bad. There is no reason to sign him, and we're not going to, but I just thought I'd point that out. Like, in a normal save, I would definitely sign him, because I know he's good. Johnny Kenny. Johnny Kenny from Celtic. His transfer listed not by he's not signed a new deal. Okay. 15 goals this season for Johnny Kenny. And his shots on target percentage is 44%. That's a little low, for being perfectly honest, but it's still not bad. His XG is extremely high. XG, we're looking at, he's the closest we've got anywhere close to it. Dribbles per 90 0.64. He doesn't dribble enough, although I don't really care about it. It depends on the role, right? Ezequiel Zaballos here at Boca, which looked at Argentinian League. His shot on target ratio is a little low, but it's closer than Johnny Kenny by quite a lot. His dribbles per 90 is much better. In the air, he's slightly better, but still quite low, so I'm not sure. But shortlist him, but he's probably on the lower end. But I think they're in mid-season right now, so his stats will continue to update as we go here. So we'll keep watching. We've got Nicolas Siri here. He did appear last year in our stats, but this year's shots on target percentage seems to have gone down for him, so I can't really legislate signing him. He's not been good enough again there, really. Okay, right. So Omedin Dimirovic has consistently scored goals every year in FM so far on the save. 18 again this season. Shot on target percentage, that's just too low though, isn't it? Like, it just seems low to me. That's even lower than Johnny Kenny, or as low as Johnny Kenny. He's not good in the air. Like, I mean, goals. Him and Johnny Kenny both scored loads of goals. What's going on with them then? So him and Johnny Kenny both scored a decent amount of goals this season. They both got pretty low shot on target percentage, which means that they must get a lot of chances and they miss them because they dominate the opposition. But Celtic can understand that, but I don't know about Freiburg. Dribbles per 90 is low. Header ratio isn't great. Like, I don't know what to make of that. That's really annoying though, because there's 2 players that look okay and they're not. Well, we can't sign them based on it. We just can't. Okay, Vangelis Pavildis, whatever his name is here. 16 goals this season. We don't really care about that, but he has got 16 goals. He's got his goals per 90 is okay. We're not looking at that. We're looking at shot on target percentage, 57%. It's above what we need. And his header is 54. We need 56. So he's the first player we've seen that actually fits everything we're looking at. Dribbles per 90, though, is extremely low. So he'd have to be the big man on the left striker role. Right. Marcus Leonardo. See, this is why I don't understand. Why was he not appearing in my list a second ago, but he appears in it now? So Marcus Leonardo, 51% shot accuracy, pretty good, and 43% in the air. That's low, but if you factor in the other guy, they're going to balance each other out. Dribbles per 90 isn't amazing, but his shot accuracy is good. He scores goals. He's close enough on all of them. He's a lot closer than the others than for example, Johnny Kenny was, a lot of the others. So I'm going to shortlist him. He could be a good striker. So I've looked at, I don't know how many strikers in other leagues, loads. And although he is not quite there for a couple of the stats, especially headers one, the other strikers that I'm looking at thinking, okay, they probably do, are not as good as Johnny Kenny. So even though we wrote him off at the start, he's the closest we've got. Like some 44% actually isn't that low compared to the other players I've looked at. Like players in South America that I've looked at that I think look okay, everyone like 42s and 37 for this. So he's actually not that much lower. His XG is extremely high. It's the highest XG I've seen of any player like that I've looked at all. So originally I was thinking he doesn't quite cut it, but that's the best and the closest we can get to what we've got at the moment. So luckily, it's ended up all right. But, and I mean, we're going to get him for quite cheap by the looks of it. 2 million when they take them. They're not going to take 2 million. Like that, 2.5. Right, we on to wingers then. I've added something to my search list, and that is the division next to it. That makes it a lot easier to see what division their stats are in. So, there you go. Nice little addition for you. That doesn't look too bad. Any appearances, 19. Headers, really good in the air. Dribbles per 90 is good. Chance creation is not bad at all. For us, it's like a good player. Playing in Brazil, but we'll see. For like top wingers, their dribbles per 90 isn't as high because I guess they normally do other stuff with the ball. But the players I've looked at with really high dribbles per 90 haven't always ended up being well, we've signed them right, they've been terrible. So 2.2. This is sort of the area here we're actually looking at that's about right for the wingers. So he looks quite good. Dribbles per 90 is about right. Cross completion's higher. What we're looking for. Chances created per 90 is much higher. 32 starts that. Looks like a good signing based on that. He looks very good. Does this lad here? That could be an interesting one. What a drop. Being good in the air is probably not as important, I would say. And shot on target ratio can drop a little bit, like 37. We'll drop that to like 42. Cross completion going down to 19. We'll keep it exactly the same though. I'm just going to scroll back through again. I'm going to scroll through some more players, and you'll join me back for the next position. So I'll see you in a second for the next position. Just had a little break to have a coffee, and I'm still going now. Actually, I've got some little bit of food, just a little chocolatey pastry thing, and we're going to go straight into central midfield. And Sheldon Baptiste appeared early. I think that'd be a nice place to start. So he's actually gone away abroad to Schalke. And he's appeared, I mean, he's got pretty good stats here across the board. Dribbles per 90 isn't great, but the chance creation is quite high. Pass completion is very high. Only 10 starts, tackle ratio is decent. Like, he looks okay. I'm going to shortlist him. I'm not going to buy anybody else yet at this stage. I'm just going to shortlist them. And by the way, I just wanted to note as well, while I was having a coffee and stuff, I was reading through some of your comments on in the comment section of some of the earlier videos. Well, it'd be earlier for you at this point, but for me, it's like right now, just reading through. Yeah, a lot of you don't like the tactic at all. A lot of you hate it. So, like, just about the tactic, couple of things with it. Firstly, people were saying the wingers are higher, etc. If you play a low, I'm not going to be the other ones, I don't mess anything up, but if I had both wingers in line here and it was like a deep 4-4-2, like a 4-2-2 with DMs and wingers, if it's that bottom heavy in the match engine, when you play against good sides and they've got wingers and fullbacks, they will just pin you back. And they'll pin you back, and you'll end up having just two players on the counter-attack all the time. And the reason why I like to have them higher is, if you notice, when we attack, they're a lot quicker at supporting the strikers, and also it's just the movements that they make and the way that the back four react to a winger there and a winger down here is quite different, the opposition back four. So that's why it's ended up like this. It's sort of the best of both worlds. We can sort of stop the long ball issue that there is where it goes straight over the top with this, and we also are able to stop them pinning us back as much on the wings by having them higher. And the other part to it as well is engagement of the press. So if they're lower, it's going to take them a lot longer to trigger and go and press the back four. So these two will go and press the back four themselves. But if these two are like in the winger, high winger or forward positions, they'll go and help press the back line a lot more aggressive, a lot quicker. You won't get the same response in the same exact way if they're deeper, right? Yeah, I just thought I'd mention that. Sheldon Baptiste, we're going to carry on looking down on the list and the league that they're in because that's important here. Sure, Diaz looks okay in a couple of areas, but dribbles per 90 is so low. 0.62 we're looking for. Okay, Azor Matasiwa plays in the French league. Key passes 2 per game. It's a bit low, but that's actually not bad considering, if you can see there already, it's quite low across the board. Dribbles per 90 is way above. And his then pass completion, like 87%. That's above. I mean, XG isn't that bad either. Like, he's all right, you know. Tackle ratio is extremely. He's almost like a CDM that can also play box to box. He looks quite good. T. Samos in the Belgian Pro League. Key passes per night is not bad. It's not what we're looking for, but it's not terrible compared to what else I've looked at. This is above. This is bang on. This is above. XG's good. Like, that's actually not bad at all. It's another good player potentially there. I don't know if he's a good player, but there's another player providing the stats that we're looking for, is how I would put that. Gabriel Florentin. Dribbles per 90. Almost bang on. Key passes per 90 is a bit down. Pass completion 0.87. That's so 87%. That's above what we're looking for. XG's okay. Like, he looks all right. Now, interesting player, Jan Boller. I don't know what position he's been playing in, because he's got a utility player. He plays different positions here. So, I mean, it's got required. But Jan Boller, I'm looking at tackles per game as the first thing I've looked at, actually. So tackles per game is pretty high. Tackles per game 1.43 is what we're looking for. Tackle ratio is very high. His pass completion is okay. Headers are not great, but like, he looks really good, especially if he has been playing CDM a little bit for them. Zednek Jax here. Now, he's played in the Czech First Division for Victoria Pilsen, who are obviously a good team. He's only made 5 starts and 27 appearances, but he's got pretty good stats across the board. He could be like a wonder kid for us. Elijah Owusu, 37 appearances, 84% tackle win ratio, good tackles per game, good in the air, solid, looks really good. Belgian Pro League game, which we've not had a great success in, but, you know, we'll see. Lots of appearances, we played a lot of games, 84, that's even higher for pass completion. Dribbles per 90 isn't great, but it's not terrible. Headers 1, he's actually quite good across the board as well. Great CDM there, that looks really good. I'm pretty sure I've seen him before, but he looks good on his stats. That's done. Now we're going to move on to, I think we've done wing backs, haven't we, right? So we're going to move on to centre backs. Another one here, Yannick Brugger. Headers 1, ratio 84% in the 85, that's close. Interceptions per 90, we need 3.57, he's low on that. Tackle ratio, we need 77, he's got 78. Pass completion is also quite high. That's actually quite a good signing. That would be another good one. Who actually wants him? Werder Bremen, okay. So the second one that's gone on the shortlist. Ndai, 6'9". So I've never seen anybody that tall before. We could just sign him just because of that, really. And that is centre backs, right? So we've concluded it, and so that is going to be the first set of incomings sort of done, as it were. Obviously, as usual, what happened is as I click through the summer, I will look for other players as well. So anybody else comes up, other players become available or more willing to come to you. But we've got a pretty good shortlist. It's not just from that summer, or this summer rather. We've got a shortlist that's from last summer as well. So we've still got quite a few players there that we can pick from across multiple positions. So I'm feeling pretty good. The only position I'm not really worried about at all is goalkeeper, because we've got Messley will come back and be number 1. Ross is a good number 2 backup, and Lumley will just be an emergency keeper, but he'll be a proper number 2 until Messley's back. So goalkeeper, we're just going to put off to the side. That's not even something to worry about, which is great for once. So I find a position where we can go completely, we don't care about having to sign anybody. That's nice. So put that to the side. And then in terms of like players to go, I've transferred 1. I mean, Brian Ocampo, I never liked. I didn't like him at all season. Vidovic was pretty bad. I don't know if I can sell him because I only just bought him. I'm going to try and sell Theo again just because he's on so much wages, really. That's mainly the reason why. Mane is already going. Bernauer, I mean, wasn't great, was he? I'll probably let him go as well. Onyedika, I'll probably keep Onyedika. But is he more of a CDM, maybe? I've even forgotten what his attributes were, to be honest. Completely forgotten. I've recorded the last episode a few days ago now, so... And Maldonado is a great example of somebody that on his attributes I would sell him 100%, but he played really well last year. He was our best centre-back, best performing centre-back, I think, along with probably Amu, who came in and did a good job. So those two would definitely stay. Quitetus, yeah, it's probably good for now. Probably want a centre-back, at least 1, maybe 2. And all these players are going to leave. So it'll be interesting to see what our finances are like at the end of the season. We're already back to like nearly 7 million just in the red, and we'll sell a load of these players and see how we go. But yeah, what I'll do now then is I'm going to go away, put some offers in, and we'll come back midway through the transfer window and we'll see who we managed to bring in. To bring it to you, it's just literally happened right in front of me. Anders Havit Ryste has got a work permit. Come on, Barnsley. Here we go. Finally got a wonder kid. So our striker we need to sign is done. Finally, Ryste gets his work permit. The best thing that's happened to us so far. Made some signing. Do you know, while you're here, it's only the 31st of May. I'll show you what we've been up to. We brought in a couple of players. We've got Johnny Kenny has come in. That's going to be another striker. That's 2 strikers coming in. And then Paul Ilora to be one of our right backs with Ola Aina. Also got a loan offer accepted finally for Theo at left back, which is I think 30 or 40% of his wages. And we'll take that at the moment because he's got his contract's till 2028. Fuck me. So at least if he goes and plays first choice there, and he comes a bit off our wages for another year, hopefully playing first team football gets valuation up and somebody will want him next year. That's the hope, but we'll have to accept that's the worst bit of business we've done so far. But thought I'd bring that to you. That's pretty much all we've done. We sold a couple of players, but I've not looked too far ahead. I've looked at, just right back, strikers. There's only 2 things. Probably look at wingers next, so it'll be somewhere in here. But yeah, unbelievable news. And now, if we were to lose Simic, like if somebody came in for Simic and activated his release clause, I wouldn't be too disappointed because we've got 2 strikers coming in. But it probably means now we probably could sell Cruz because we've got 2 strikers coming in. So yeah, good news. And I'll see in a bit when we've done a bit more of our transfer activity. I have never, ever in my entire life ever seen this happen in Football Manager. Ever. I've seen an AI team be docked points for failing to conform to financial fair play rules. I've never seen it. I don't know if you've seen it before, but I have never seen that happen. That's incredible. It's the first one I've ever seen it. That is incredible. Wow. So United are going to start next season -5 points. That's crazy. What have they done? Like financially here? They spent 150 million. They brought in 54. They should be generating enough money. That should be fine. Like they've made a profit the year before. What is going on here? They spent a lot of money in season 2. I don't know. They've not had a takeover. That's weird. That's so... I've never seen it. That is unbelievable. Like I put myself in absolutely precarious financial positions with clubs over the years and never docked points. Even been had any problems with FFP. Like with sugar daddies and without sugar daddies, I'm talking as well. So for them to have got to the stage we docked points, that's like, I don't know. I've never seen it. I'd love to know how this happened. In fact, to look at this in depth and investigate this because I've never seen it. Owner status looking to leave. Yeah, I bet. Oh, but this is where this is the point where it triggers some like tycoon takeover for United. They become like, Manchester City almost at the same level of spend as them. Yeah, here we go. Yeah, that's what's going to happen next. But unreal. Like they're in the Europa League last year and the year before that. The Champions League the year before that. That's just incredible. Sorry, I had to bring that to you. Sorry if that that's not really anything to do with us, but that's just that's crazy. Let me know in the comments if you've ever seen this. Like, without editing and trying to make it happen. I mean, like, just organically. Like, honestly, I've played, I think in my Forest save, off camera that I was playing, FM22, I think I had Forest in, like, 400 million in the red, right? 400 million in the red, and we didn't get docked or anything. Nothing bad happened to us. So how have they got docked points? Like, we failed FFP every year. But it says you failed, then all of a sudden you'll be okay, depending on a few number of factors. That's just incredible. So sorry, I had to bring that to you. We'll continue on, but crazy stuff. Never seen it before. Okay, right. So to conclude this episode, then I'm going to show you the players that we've actually brought in so far in this window. In addition to the 2 players that we showed last, we also managed to sign Brennan Johnson. Now, I've never used Brennan Johnson in FM ever, which might surprise you playing as Forest so often, but I've always chosen just to sell him, cash in, take the load of money, and rebuild the team. So this is the first match I'm ever going to use him. So I have no idea really how good he gets. I don't really look at him. Once I've sold him, I don't really go back and never try to sign him. Now, I always think in FM, though, when he starts the game, he's more of a central midfielder than he's a winger. Like, he's quick, he's not lightning fast. Like, he's in real life, he plays wide a lot for Forest. But I don't know. Like, he could play central midfield for us, potentially. We brought him in to be a winger, to be on the left side, to cut in on his right, potentially. But Brennan comes in for £7 million now. Every single signing we've made so far, the maximum percentage of next sell they've had is 20, and that's only been on a couple of them. Most of the players have got nothing going into the next sell to the club, so we're improving on that a little bit. Edward, chill, whatever his name is. So Edward comes in. Now, he was the player that we looked at the winger and I said looked dynamite, looked like he was perfect, comes in for £9 million. Nothing goes back to his club in the next sale. So things are looking brilliant in terms of wide players. He comes in, fantastic signing, happy with that. We've got Wesley. Now, Wesley was the other winger that looked really, really good. And I've signed one. I was like, looking at the squad, I was thinking, we don't need another winger. Like, we've got numbers, but we haven't got good numbers. And as I said earlier, I think that wingers are the most important position for us, especially with our tactics. So Wesley became available. We put a contract in, and I think like 5 other clubs came in. Aston Villa, a few other clubs came in that finished above us in the league. And I just thought, okay, we'll just leave it though. I'll leave the offer there, see if he takes it. And he took it. He took our offer instead of other clubs. So he comes in, 70 grand a week, quite high wages, and a 5-year contract. So let's hope he does well, because I've done this a couple of times now for players, and they've not ended up too good. The wages have been a bit too high for us to resell. So hopefully he does well. I think he should do. So he comes in for £12.5 million. So let's hope that he does well. And that is it, your bang up to date. Players out, we've sold a few players, nothing too much of note, but there's still a few about to come out. So as you can see here, was that 1, 2, like not much transfer money. Like overall, I think that's like, what is it, £12 million, something like that. But it's a lot of wages off the wage bill that we're going to get. And this is how the squad's looking. So it's looking okay going into the next season at the moment. I mean, the fact that we've got Ryste is just going to be class. We've got a lot of forwards here that might have to play wide, and they may not be too good. Well, we're not too sure yet. But like now, if I lost Simic for £13.5 million, I wouldn't even buy anybody. I would just take it and I use the players I've got. Because if we keep Brennan Johnson as a central midfielder for now, just for a second here, and you go like 1, 2, 3, 4, let's say 4 wide players, 1, 2, 3, 4. Like that's the perfect amount really there. I'm happy with that. So we could still sign a central midfielder and keep Brennan Johnson as wide player, and one of these will end up being not used. I think Barassi probably will end up not being used. We'll try and sell him next season. His contract goes to 2029. Hopefully we can get some money. He's not on too much wages though. We should get a club really eventually, so that might not be too bad. We still need a centre back. I've got a centre back. I've got a contract out on now, but there's another club that's got him for him, and a bigger club, so probably won't get him. But we need a first choice centre back. We still need a first choice centre back 100%. We still need a left back, don't we? Yeah, we still need to get a left back in to potentially push Christensen for a place. Right back is fine. So we still look at centre back, left back, and maybe centre mid. That's it. Everything else is done. So if we actually look at how many players we actually signed for this year, we've signed 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So we're looking at 7 or 8 players. Now that's a bit more manageable. It's a slightly lower number than previous years. And the only player I'm not too sure about is Onyedika, because I don't think he's a great centre back, and I don't really want to play CDM. So I mean, long term, I wouldn't be disappointed if I lost him, if I'm honest. So if he left and we can get a proper centre back in, I'd be happy with that. But we'll see how things go. But that's going to do it. Hope you've enjoyed this Moneyball series, this Moneyball episode rather. It's been really good. Lots of things have happened. Lots of stat sport. I feel much more positive about this team. I think if we can get a proper centre back in and a proper central midfielder, just to like improve us in those areas, and then get like a pacey, good dribbling left back, we are in business next year. But we'll have to see. But anyway, that's going to do it. Thank you very much for watching. Best audience in YouTube, and I'll see you next time.